Okay, our session is a recording, and for your information, Ordinaka will be issuing you guys with a letter of acceptance, letter of internship acceptance in Chantop as you guys requested. So yeah. All right. This night we are going to be looking at product backlog. Yeah, product backlog. So this word product backlog is from agile project management. We all know, I think, we treat product backlog during the project management, agile project management? I don't think we just scratched it. Yeah, we're gonna give it a full treat. So product backlog. So if we are from a conventional project management, we'll call it technical requirement. Looking at where we are coming from as business analysts, we have handled the initial stage of the project. That is the project initiation, that is initiate stage. Most of the area we've covered is initiate stage. So the stage, because once you submit business case, and if approved, the next thing is to start planning, designing, and then implementation. So where we're supposed to be at this point, or what we'll be treating, is area concerning planning or solution design. Let's because we're treating business analysis, let's use more of business analysis terms. We call it solution design. We're kind of designing the solution. You know, in the implementation stage, we recommended a solution. So that is the outcome of the initiate stage. We recommended a solution. If that solution we recommended is approved, then the next step is to design that solution. That is define stage, second stage. Then after the second stage, which is solution design, the next thing is going to be implementation, execution of the solution we design. And that is going to be the third stage. The fourth stage is going to be closure stage. If you are working in area like DevOps, after closure, we continue on what we call maintenance stage, because that is operation. We add it up. DevOps is the full project life cycle plus operation, development plus operation. So that is the way it's run end to end. But if you are not working, if you are just using normal project management methodology like just normal agile or waterfall, you end in closure stage. So the stage we are is solution design. And the first thing we need to look at solution design as business analysts is to convert the business requirements into technical requirements. Converting business requirements into technical requirements. We've talked about requirements a lot. In business analysis, we are going to be hearing about a lot of requirement, this requirement, that requirement analysis, requirement documentation, all about requirement. What does the stakeholders want? That is requirement. So that is what it means. In Agile, we call it product backlog. So breaking the solution down into what we call product backlog comprises of epic. It comprises of features. It comprises of user stories, acceptance criteria, other tasks like bug fixes, and yeah, all these things put together is what we call backlog, product backlog. I'll say that a product is not bread, or is not milk or tea, or when we talk about product here, we talk about solution, we talk about software, we talk about application. That is a product backlog. That is the product we're talking, and the backlog is the component, what makes up this product, the features about the product, the user stories, all these things put together is called product. So we need to understand this product backlog. This is what with the time we put it together in technical form so that the developers will understand what we are saying. If we carry our business case and give to developers, they don't know what we want from them. But if you convert what you have in business case into product backlog, that is technical requirement, that is what the developers are going to start understanding. And they'll say, oh, is this the feature you want in this product? Is this the user stories? Is this the acceptance criteria? That is their language. So that product backlog, technical requirement, this is the language of their development team. But if you take this product backlog, give it to the stakeholders, the business leaders, they were not going to understand what you are talking about. So what is this? But this product backlog, you convert it, you build it into a product, a full-fledged product. The business owners will say, yeah, this is very beautiful. That is what they want. So you are sitting between two teams, the dev team and the business leaders. You convert business requirements to technical requirements, and then you convert technical requirements through the developers to business products. So let's look at our notes for more clarification. So the product backlog is an ordered list of work items, tasks, or technical requirements that the development team need to complete or need to work on to deliver a product. It serves as the single source of truth for the project requirement in Agile and Scrum methodology. So, like I said, when we are in Agile, it's called product backlog, because why we are beginning to sound more agile is because we are transiting into Agile. You know, that's what we're transiting into. We're going to deliver these projects through Agile methodology called Scrum. The purpose of a product backlog: prioritization in need to organize tasks based on the value and urgency. Transparency: ensure all team members and stakeholders have visibility into the project requirement. Flexibility: allow for dynamic update and evolving business need. And progress tracking: help team to measure progress by walking through backlog items. So these are key purposes where we try to document our requirements into a documented or well-organized product backlog. So in product backlog, you organize your work that the most important items, the most important work need to be on top of the backlog. The least important need to be at the bottom, because developers, when the developers want to start work, they just need to dig their hand and pull from what is on top. They are not going to go down to start searching. It's their duty as a business analyst and a product owner. We have someone called product owner. He owns that product backlog. He decides what comes into the product backlog and what goes out of the product backlog. What work needs to be done. But you as a business analyst, you work with them most of the time to convert this business requirement into technical requirements. Key features of a product backlog. A product backlog must have items. These items are pieces of work. These items can, if you are starting your project, or once you jump in and start working, there's something you are going to hear. You are not going to be hearing much about user stories, features, if you're working on a product backlog. What you are going to be hearing is what we call product backlog item. We call it PBI. Yeah, you say, how many PBIs are we working on this week? I say, well, 5 PBIs. Have been big room? Yeah, good. So these are the kind of language you'll be hearing with developers or the team, technical team. If you are waiting for you, they say, how many user stories or how many features, you might not hear it. You are going to be hearing items. And that item is a product backlog items. That is what we call PBI. So these items comprises of the user stories, features, bug, technical tasks, and enhancement. All of them is classified as items, product backlog items. Then we have ordering. Items are prioritized based on their business value. I already talked about it. Talk about prioritization. And again, we have estimation. Every work item needs to be estimated. And this estimation is what we call, when we get it estimated, we call it a story point. Story point. And this story point, the purpose is to help us understand the amount of work we need to do at a duration called sprint velocity. Sprint velocity. So all these user stories here, they all need to be estimated. Estimation is that you need to evaluate them. How do you evaluate them? You say, what is the complexity of this user story? Complexity means, what is the amount of effort do we need to put into this user story in order to complete it? This question is not for you, a business analyst, to answer the question. It's not even the duty of the product owner to answer the question. It's not the duty of the Scrum Master to answer the question. because they don't know the question, the answer. It's the duty of the developers to answer the question. They have the experience. They must have done similar work and say, look, you see this, you want to implement this file. For instance, let's say this is a product and this is features. These are features and these are product, these are user stories. All these Microsoft Doc, PDF documents, open document format, this kind of thing is what we call user stories. So they want to understand, if you are building this kind of application, they want to understand what is the effort required to build this Microsoft Word doc here. So the developers can say, the way we do it is say within a scale of 1 to 10 or between the scale of 1 to 20, there is no standard scaling. It's the duty of the team to adopt whichever range that works for them. You can say between a scale of 1 to 100, give us your story point. You can say between a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the easiest and 10 being the most complex, give us your story point on how to complete this work item. The developer can say, well, this is not going to be a piece of cake for me. So I think let's give it 8 story points, which is a bit complex. And you can bring another one, you say, looking at this, this is just a piece of cake. I'll give it 4 story points. So it's their duty to give the story point. If we have more than 1 developers, some might say, I give it 5 story points. Some say, no, Mr. Charles, I don't know what you're talking about. How can we do this work how can you estimate this work to become 5 story points? This is complex. Do you know what we need to do? We need to do this, we need to do that. And then after that, we say, okay, let's give it 8 points. So we can have variation. In this case, so we bring everybody's story points together and pick the average. The average will become the main story point. We can use a poker card. In most cases, if we have different more than 2 or 3 developers, we have a poker card. Everybody will write their own number and drop it. And from there, we come up with an average story point, which will now become the acceptable story point. So this is a very important story point. That's how you understand the amount of work you do. And once we have a cumulative story point, then that's what we call velocity. It helps us to know the amount of work the developer does at a given period. If the developers have been working on 50 story points for a period of 2 months, and all of a sudden, the developers want to start consuming 70 story points, the Scrum Master will say no. You need to explain why all of a sudden you want to start consuming 70 story points, because it's beyond their capacity. It's beyond their capacity, and you will not allow them to do that. It's just like somebody who has been riding a motorcycle. You have never seen the person driving a car. All of a sudden, you see the person trying to drive a truck. You are going to say, no, I've never seen you driving a truck. So that's it. So that is the purpose, because the Scrum Master will don't want a situation you accumulate or you pick some work and there will be a lot of leftovers. You couldn't finish your work. It become messy. So Another feature of product backlog is dynamic nature. The product backlog continues to change, meaning that what we say that is the most important, we can all of a sudden change our mind and take the item down. The item we have at the bottom, we can all of a sudden bring them up. It changes. It's all about what the stakeholders want. And in agile project management, we accept dynamism or flexibility. Okay, these are the key elements of a product backlog. If you want to create a product backlog, these are some of the key features your product backlog will not. You make sure your product backlog have all these features. For instance, if you come here and see epic, you must have an epic. You must have a feature, user story, acceptance criteria, issues, item type, story point, priority, Jira ID or status. Yeah. These Jiras, is what we call items. So user stories, because not only user story, but in a situation you might have a drop down where you can select between user stories, tags, and the bug, which we are going to see very soon. So the Jira ID depends on where you want to do this work. If you want to implement this work on Jira, then it's going to have a Jira ID. But Jira is not the only place you can deliver a Scrum. You can equally deliver a Scrum in Azure DevOps. So it's just like Jira, owned by Microsoft. So these are the two popular products or two popular environments where we can deploy our work. Okay, all these key items or keywords, will capture them here. Let's look at them one after the other, like epic, feature, user stories, acceptance criteria. They are all very important because you are going to be hearing about them, you are going to be seeing them all the time. So what is epic? An epic is a large body of work that can be broken down into smaller tasks or stories. Epic are typically too big to be completed in a single iteration or sprint and need to be decomposed into smaller, more manageable pieces. Epic provide high-level view of what needs to be done and serves as a placeholder for future planning and analysis. So, if I may say, in this product backlog, sorry, in this product, this is a product. Microsoft Doc is a product. We can break this product into epics. If I'm to break it into epic, I will say file here is an epic, edit here is an epic. All these things I can classify them as epic because it can be broken down into features. It can equally be broken down further into user stories. For instance, now you see this file. It cannot finish this kind of work in 2 weeks or in 1 month. It might take up to even 3 months for you to finish everything about file. If you want to see it, how big it is, if you click on it, you see everything here. All of them is within this file. All of them here are a lot of work to be done. You see, under new alone, you have new document. You have a help me create. You have from a template. You have open. Then under share alone, we still have two work items here. Under email, so you see that file is a very big chunk of work. If you go to edit here, you click on edit, you see that it's not just a small work, there's a lot involved here. If you go to view, you see what is involved. If you go to insert, you see a lot of work here as well. So they can be broken. If you see it here, under this image, this is a lot of work. Under building blocks, this is a lot of work. So there is a lot. Smart chip, a lot. So if you see it here, you can think this is a very simple product or simple application. It's not. It's a very big product. So, and if you want to break them down, you can just start from capturing the main work that needs to be done under Epic, and then we'll start breaking them down. So breaking down can be into features. You can break them down from Epic to features. Features are a chunk of functionalities that provide a valuable output to the end users. They are generally they are generally larger in scope than user stories, but smaller than Epic. So user story happen to be the smallest aspect of the product backlog. User story. This is where most of the things is going to come under user stories, because this is the point the developers are very comfortable to start working on the work item. If you give developers Epic to work on, they are not going to agree. If you give them features to work, they are not going to agree. They want the work to be broken down into user stories before they can tell you, okay, I've gotten the full picture of what you want me to do. So user stories are short, simple description of a feature told from the perspective of the end user or customer. Why we call it user story? It means that the user, whoever is going to use this product, they are going to tell you story how they are going to use it. How do a user use this product? You come over here, you see new. Tell the user to tell you a story about this new document. What does this new document mean? If you want to create a user story, then you need to tell a story how me, which is a user that is using this Google Doc, how I'm going to use a new document in this case. As you can say, as a user, I want to use this new document to start a new page. And something like that. You come here, you see another here is help me create. And you can see this is AI enabled. You can see as a user, I want AI to help me to create a new page. If you want to say it again, you can come again and say, as a user, I want to create a new page from an already existing template. You see, I'm trying to tell a story how I'm going to use all these three features as as a user, as a customer. That is the story I'm telling. If you come down to this download, I might tell another story as a user. I can say, as a user, I want to download this lesson note in the form of a Word, Microsoft Word. I want to download, as a user, I want to download it in form of a PDF document, as open document format, as a plain text, as a rich format. So as a user, as a user, as a user. So that is it. So user is still, they want to know what I want to achieve because they are building it for me. They are not building it for the CEO. They are not building it for any other person in the organization. They are building it for the last person that's going to use it after we are finished. So if you are building for a consumer like me, and you do not want to understand how I'm going to use the product, you want to understand, you are looking at the CEO, whether the CEO is smiling or the CEO is not, a frowning. You are not building for the CEO. As a matter of fact, the CEO knows that you do not know how the user is going to use the product you are building for him. He's not going to be happy because you want the user to be happy while using it, and that's where he can be making more money. So that is user stories. User story, yeah, are short, simple description of a feature told from the perspective of the end user or a customer. They follow a specific format. As a user, type of user, I want to, what is the action? What do you want to do with that feature? You state what you want to do with that feature so that you can receive a benefit for using it. So I normally use a WhatsApp as an example. So if you have your WhatsApp, open your WhatsApp and go to your WhatsApp and want to start a chat. Start a chat on your WhatsApp. If you are ready to start a chat with your friend or your anybody, or even me, Mr. Charles, you want to chat with me, I'll tell you, send me your recent picture. I want to see your face. Okay. Now, looking at the WhatsApp, you see the area you type a message, you see different icons. You see an icon to upload an image. You see where you are going, a message icon saying where you are going to type a message. You see a clip you are going to use to attach another document. You see a picture of camera, so you can use it to capture live camera. All these icons you are seeing, they represent what we call user stories. They are all user stories. All of them, simple, they are all user stories. So you can see, as a WhatsApp user, I want to upload my picture using the picture icon, so that I will send it to Mr. Charles, my business analyst teacher, so that he needs to see my face. Yeah, you see the value. The value is that, yeah, you want to build a relationship with your teacher that has been teaching you now for 4 months and they've never seen your face. Yeah, so something like that. Or you've been a job, they ask you to send your CV. The job you have been sending, the HR asks you to send your CV. So something like this They are all called user story. All these small icons you see here, if you want to start a video call on WhatsApp, you see where that particular small icon you see there, they represent what we call user story. How is the user going to use that small? The user, once the user click it on, the picture, the camera will start capturing, live camera will start capturing the owner and the person you are speaking with, so that both of you can see each other while talking. So that is what we call user story. So with this, I don't think you can miss what user story is. If you look at here, this is a user story. This is another user story. This is all these emojis, another user story. They are all user stories. So you can see in a product is a collection of different user stories. Different user stories. And that's all this collection of different user stories is what we call product backlog. So, user story helps him to understand what needs to be developed from the user point of view and encourage conversion and conversation and collaboration between the developers, stakeholders, and the product owner. Example, as a user, I want to be able to log into the system with an email and a password so that I can access my personalized dashboard. So you see it here. Where do you get that? From the login page of any system. You see a login page. That login page where what is used called is a user story. Then, after user story, we have what we call acceptance criteria. What is acceptance criteria? Is what it means that this user story, now we've stated what we want to achieve. We've told the developers to build a login page for us so that users can use it to log into the system. Once they put their email and their password, they should, once you are into our DTBS login page, once a student puts their email and password, they should have access to their personalized dashboard where they will start seeing courses, and from there they start, watching videos and downloading project resources or bootcamp resources. Yeah, it's clear what we want to achieve here. But they are not going to leave you like that. There's what we call audit. There's what we call regulation. There's what we call governance, compliance, standard control. That is what acceptance criteria means. So the acceptance criteria will state the condition this user story must meet before the business analyst or the product owner will accept that this user story is now a definition of done, meaning that it's fully completed. Acceptance criteria are specific conditions or requirement that a user story or feature must meet to be considered complete and satisfactory. They are written from the perspective of the user to define the functionality and the behavior of the system. Acceptance criteria help ensure that the development team and the stakeholders have a shared understanding of what needs to be done. This is an example of acceptance criteria. When you want to log into this system, given that I am on the login page, that is what is saying the standard. When I enter a valid email and a password, it should allow me to see my personalized dashboard. If I enter my email and password and I'm not redirected to or I cannot access my personalized dashboard, it means this user story is a failure. It has failed its purpose, and I'm not going to accept it as a product owner or as a business analyst. So that is their work, making sure that whatever the developers that are doing, that after doing it, you are come and do this testing. This acceptance criteria is what we are going to use to do your testing. So in summary, EPIC represents large bodies of work. Features are more refined chunk of functionalities. User stories describe functionalities from the user's perspective, and acceptance criteria define the condition of satisfaction for a user story or a feature to be considered. Yeah. So we've already spoken about key features or characteristics of a user story, but here I added more notes on it. So I've already captured this. Yeah. Talk about list of requirements. Every product backlog will have list of requirements as work items. It must be prioritized in the order of importance. It's dynamic and evolving, so it can change over time. What is on the floor can all of a sudden come up to become on top. What is on top can all of a sudden be moved down to the bottom. That doesn't mean that once we say that this is important to us today, that those user stories will continue to be on top. In some cases, after we wake up, the board can wake up, or the whom we are building can wake up tomorrow and say, I don't want this again. This is what I want now within that product or within. So you all need to do is to readjust. Then have user stories or tags. Typically, items in product backlog are expressed as user stories, as tags, or other smaller units of work. User stories in particular are short, simple description of feature or functionality from the end user's point of view. Estimation means story pointing. We already talk about it. And then we'll talk about refinement. Every week, the team must make out time to refine their product backlog, making sure that whatever they are working on is what the stakeholders recommend as the top priority of the company. If the priority changes during the refinement, you push whatever that is supposed to be up, whatever that is no longer relevant, you push it down. Over time, some user stories or what we might want to do can all of a sudden become obsolete. You find out the market doesn't need it anymore, or we have a better upgrade. Transparency. Everybody in that project, if we are 10 of us in that project team, all of us must be on the same page. We must have a shared understanding of what needs to be done. That is shared, that is transparency. If you interview me, if for instance, if we are 3 of us is in this project, you put 3 of us in 3 different rooms and go and start interviewing us about the product backlog. What I'm saying should correspond to what the 2 other people are saying. I might be, my explanation might be a bit different. My language, my choice of language, my choice of grammar, but it must be pointing towards one thing. The understanding must be the same thing. if we are talking about a product signing or login page, all of us must be on the same. The other person might be saying, sign up. Well, for instance, we say sign up where you sign up in order to get onboarded. Someone can start using the word register. I want to register. Some other person might be using the word sign up, or whichever one. All of us know that is the same thing. Everybody is talking. That's what I mean by shared understanding. If we are arguing, or if I'm saying A and the other person is saying B in a particular product backlog, then we need to sit down and try to understand it very deeply from the product backlog. So we must have a shared understanding. And it is from the product backlog that we continue planning our sprint planning. Anytime we want to carry out a sprint planning, we dip our hand into the product backlog to select items we are going to work on. So in Scrum, during the planning, a subset of items from the product backlog is selected to be part of the upcoming sprint. These selected items becomes what we call sprint backlogs and are the focus of the dev team during the sprint. Yeah. If you don't know how to create, you've never created a product backlog. Okay, this is steps. Identify the product goal, define the overall objective of the product, gather requirements. Yeah, you need to gather requirements with the stakeholders to collect features, user need, and technical requirements, which we have done. Break down items into high-level requirements. So you see the way all the things we're doing. So from there, you start coming down to, you must get it from the high-level requirements before you start gather the requirements from stakeholders as features, then divide into high-level requirements. High level is those of epics. It must be in high level, before you start breaking them down into user stories and acceptance criteria. Prioritize the item, rank items by business value, urgency, and dependencies. You must create the effort, that is the story point, and continuously refine. So if we have done their work very well and we want to create a product backlog, so this is how your product backlog is going to look. So this example is what we call Dynamics 365 ERP Business Central product backlog. Yeah. So you see here we have epic, we have feature, we have user stories, acceptance criteria, issue type, story point, priority, JIRA ID, and project status. And that's it. So let's see the product backlog in real time. Let's see, for some of us who have not seen product backlog in real time, I'm going to show us one product backlog. So this is the product backlog. This is Dynamics 365 ERP Business Central product backlog for finance module. So, and in this product, this is what we call epics. All these are epics, large body of work. So we have Dynamics 365, Business Central, procurement, and we have general ledger, we have account receivable, we have account payable, we have cash management, we have financial reporting, fixed assets. They are all user stories, all these things. So they are all epics. These epics, and then this is features. Going down here, these are the features. Then we have user stories, we have acceptance criteria, and we'll have issue type. So anyone who capture here will decide what it is. If I drop down, you see you can name the item, a user story, a tax, or a bug. Yeah. Then we have story point here. Story point to have 7A. So you decide the story point you use. And then we have priority. You must, before any work starts, you must prioritize it, how important it is. So all things that are more important must always be the first to address. See here, see this one is importance is high. You can say this is a medium. You can say this is low. Yeah. So, but this will help you to prioritize your work and know which one to work on first. And then if you are using Jira, then any product item in Jira must have a unique ID. So you go there from Jira, capture the unique ID and use it to fill any gap or any way you are wanted. So that is it. And then status for your work, for you to track your work, you must always be capturing these key stages. Like you see here, this is 100% completed. If you have not started, just say to do. You have not started this. Is to do what you plan to do. Once you start, you say this work item is 20% complete. You can equally say is 50% complete, or you can equally say is 70% complete. So that's it. And this, the yellow aspect of this is what we call test cases. I made two of them together, but they are two different documents. So don't mix them up. The product backlog and the test cases. I merged them because once the project or the sprint is done, we are going to use test case to test whatever activity that is going on this product backlog. So they are always together and they're working together. You cannot complete your work without carrying out a testing. So that's it. So out of my benevolence, I will just say I'll drop this product backlog for you guys as a template. As a matter of fact, you guys are working on the same capacity. This is ERP, and you guys are working on ERP as well. So with this, you have seen how the product backlog is going to look like. So you will not say, I've never seen it. So ERP, this is ERP. If you go for the this one, search Business Central, ERP Business Central. It's going to tell you that it's owned by Microsoft. So I will leave this for you guys to use it to do your work. You have to create your own, but use this one as a guide. So yeah. So best practice for product backlog management. you have to collaborate continuously. Work with stakeholders and team members to keep the backlog relevant. Prioritize ruthlessly. Focus on delivering the most valuable feature first. Avoid overloading. That's why we have estimation, story pointing, so that it will help you to understand your capacity and don't take beyond your capacity. It's important every time. Yeah, all of us, alcohol is good, it's a very something good to take. But if you know your capacity, if it's 2 glasses of cup is your capacity, once you take 2 glasses of alcohol or beer, stop. So you'll be fine if you understand your capacity. If it's 1 glass of beer, that is your capacity, root for one glass of beer is going to bring the best out of you. But the moment you start adding 2, 3, and you know your capacity, you are going to mess the whole party up. That's why the Scrum Masters will always want to make sure that you are working within your capacity. Don't go and wear oversize. You are not going to go far. So that is it. Avoid overloading. Define clear acceptance criteria. I've seen so many people, they don't use acceptance criteria. What is their benchmark? What is their standard? How do you test? How do you make sure that the good work is the team is working at their optimum capacity or the optimum quality? So it's important. And like I said, regularly refine. You must continue to refine. Tools for product backlog management. We have Jira. Jira is a very big tool. And we'll have Azure DevOps. I already talked about Azure DevOps owned by Microsoft. And we'll have Trello. And we'll have Monday.com. So some of them, but the key here is this number 2. Jira and Azure DevOps, the best for Scrum planning or managing product within the Scrum. So that is it. So this activity is not for you guys. Create a simple product backlog for a customer relationship management. So I'm not expecting you guys to go work on it because you've already started. In some cases, I've had a situation where I finish my training before starting internship or work experience. So in situation like that, I always give them exercise to do. On your own, you already have a lot of work to do for yourself. So I'm not gonna go tell you to do this because it doesn't make sense to me. You already started. So this is what we're going to add. So if you have any question or any confusion or want me to throw more light on product backlog management, you have the time. Just have 30 minutes to collaborate, less than 30 minutes to ask questions or collaborate. So that's it. So Lady Cynthia.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
So please, I want to ask about the user story.
So what?
You said you're supposed to write it in the, as a user. I want this to be done for me to do this. Example. So are we supposed to go? How are we going to get the user to do this, or are we supposed to just formulate it ourselves, or in the BA?
The way you are going to do it, you try to understand what the user is going to You are creating it. You don't need to just asking users, what are you going to do with the users? Do they know you are trying to build up? You must have other requirements. For instance, you gather requirement from your whatever you are building an ERP system. You've gathered the requirement. Didn't you do requirement gathering?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the requirement gathering, and with after our problem, you find out that we need an ERP system. That is it. We are the people you talk to are those people working on the finance, trying to understand their struggle. So you find out that why they are struggling so much in finance department is because they don't have ERP. They are not working smart. They need to work smart. They need ERP system. So that is it. You've gathered the requirement. That's how you are going to talk to the users. Users are not just users, is the end user. They are called them users or customers. Now we understand how they want to use their challenges. Then you need to start converting it. Then what can this help them to do? In this case, the ERP system is already there for you to configure. So you must know how to tailor this ERP system. It's a white label. You need to configure it so that it will rhyme or meet the user's challenges or solve those their problems. So every area you want to understand, you've already had an interview with the developer, the users or the customers to understand how they want things done. So that is why when you are collecting requirement gathering, there are two things you need to understand: the way it is, that is as is, and the way it's going to be. The to be aspect of it is what is going to be guiding you to write your user stories. Are you getting my point?
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? Okay. So user stories, acceptance criteria. If you want to call yourself a business analyst, you must know how to craft one. And it's not as easy as you think, but we have AI now that help us to do some of this work. So, yeah. All right, that's it. We are progressing. If you have more questions, don't have more questions. If you have questions or you want to know more, you can make more research and know more. So yeah, but you need it. You can't escape it as long as you want to continue to become a business analyst. So, and thank you for joining. And yeah, you have to contact her. Yeah, you might not need to contact her. She will deliver it to you, your letters as you guys requested. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Charles.
All right. Thank you. So yeah, that's
thank you and good night.
Yeah, good night. So good
Thank you,
night.
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Good night, sir.
Yeah, good night. Yeah.